Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin the funeral service. We ask for those that have a cell phone or pager, if you could turn it to the silent mode. Officiating is Rabbi Shannon Gelman and Rabbi Mordechai Salowitz.
Ashrei ha'ish asher halach ba'atzas rishayim uv'derech chata'im lo amad uv'moshav leitzim lo yashav kim b'soras Adonai chefzo v'soraso yege yomam v'laylo v'haya ke'et shasu al palgei mayim asher piryo yitein be'ito ve'alehu lo yibol v'chol asher ya'aseh yatzliach lo chein harishayim kim kamotz asher titfenu ruach Al kein lo yakumu rishaim b'mishpat v'chata'im b'adas tzadikim ki yodea Adonai derech tzadikim v'derech rishaim toved.
Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai Yoi lo yachzor. B'nostesh yabitzeini amei menuchis nahaleini nafshi yishoyvei v'yancheini b'madlei tzedek l'ma'an shemoi gam ki yelech b'geitz ha'maves l'yirah ki ato imodi shivtecha mishantecha himinachamuni tarich l'fanei shulchan neged tzoroi tishanta v'shem eroishi koisi rivaya ach toiv v'chesed yidufuni kol mechayoi V'shavti b'veis Adonai liyorech yamim.
The unfortunate circumstances of the day brought us together to commemorate the life of Sara Worch, blessed memory, Sara Vered Bas David Moshe, to give her a kavod acharon. Today, being in the middle of Chodesh Nisan, as we know, Jewish tradition reminds us we're not supposed to be maspid, supposed to give a traditional eulogy. So instead, we'll hear words of shevach, words of praise about the life that Sarah lived in her very short years, the very full life she was zocheh to live, and the light she was able to bring to us. After some words I will share, we'll hear from Avi on behalf of the siblings. We'll hear from Leah, Sarah's sister, and Rav Yaroslavitz, the very close Rav, perhaps the closest with Sarah, after which we will conclude. Sarah was born March 16th, 1979, Yud Zayin Adar. She died very close to her birthday, right after her 46th birthday. Sarah was the second eldest daughter, very specific, the second eldest, not the second, of Rosa and the late David Gossage, sister of Brenda and Leah, aunt to many, and the proud mother of Avi, Shira, Meir, Lola, and Rina. When it comes to family, that was the most important part of who she was. The most important part of her life, bar none. The pictures of her children that graced her house, and later her hospital wall. And when she was in hospice, those pictures seemed to grow both in size and become more prominent. They occupied her thoughts and her tefillos day and night. And I'm sure each of you know this, but invariably the first thing and almost the most essential thing that she would ever speak about was each of you. You were her everything, she would say over and over again. And dealing with the reality of death didn't seem to faze her, remarkably so, but only was to ensure and plan ahead that her children got what they needed to, both in ruchnius and gashmius, physically and spiritually. They would develop into B'nai and Benos Torah. That was the most important thing to your mother. She was an educator. She was a counselor. She was an EMT in Israel, a rebbetzin, a preschool director. Sara was a master of Bein Adam Lechavero, as we know by the many, many friends. The reason why she elicited and created such a loyal friend group around her was because she was a great friend. Her Bein Adam Lechavero, always looking to perform chasadim, acts of kindness for others. Kindness and acts of chesed that were known to many, and many, many more that were not known. That were behind the scenes. The chasadim that happened mechol yom that nobody would ever find out about. She was a friend to so many, too many to list, but you kept her going. The friends, the chaverim, on the listservs and the tfilos and the chasadim that you did, it was to pay back a modicum of the chesed she did for you in her lifetime. But I want you to know that each of you, not only the family of course, but the friends as well, added significant amounts of time to her days, both in the quantity of her life and the quality of her life. I have no doubt that you contributed to Arichos Yamim. Sara was always present. She was a person who was focused in the moment, on the conversation, and the person that was in front of her was everything in that moment. She was a person who, whether she was at home or at school or in the supermarket, whoever came her way would receive her full attention. Everything else would be cleared away from her mind in that moment. And even if it wasn't always easy, and even if the person wasn't being easy, Sara would give you her all. That kind of support is something that very few people have today, where they're not distracted, where they're focused on what you need. She greeted every single person, b'sever pan miyafos, a warm countenance, a warm smile. That greeting made you feel you were important and welcomed, that you were important in that moment. And she had a certain azus de kedusha to her, a certain strength. She didn't take no for an answer. She was determined. Once she was committed to an idea, to a chesed, to an ideal, she would follow through. But at the same time, the sensitivity and the ability to seek common ground, to seek a middle ground, to balance, to compromise, to get things done. A wonderful balance of strength and realism, which allowed her to be so successful in all of her endeavors. She was a resilient person, and she was a person who every word out of her mouth was a word of emunah. She had such faith in Hashem despite the many yisurin that she had to go through throughout the years. Such incredible, remarkable strength. Musar Sefer in that sense, to see that kind of emunah b'Hashem. And she was a master of organization. She was a person who was very misudar. She brought seder, she brought organization and structure to a world and to reality that sometimes is chaotic. This is something that both of her sisters shared with me, that it was part of their nature. And Sara learned to bring order, like the Ribono Shalom brought order to the world of chaos, of tov vavo. To be like God is our mission in this world. That was Sara. She brought order and seder, and that's the secret to Kedusha, the secret to holiness. From the concern over every detail, to the beautiful platters of simanim that we received on Rosh Hashanah, to the way she opened her home to guests, the way she planned even for the impossible. You have to be a Masudar person to plan for your death, to be able to meet in advance, to be able to face that reality head on and say, this is what needs to be done, both in terms of financial planning, in terms of the well-being of her children, what's going to be, that's a mesudar person to plan and to have to think about your own patira and your own levaya. As we're approaching Pesach very soon, the ultimate Seder, every Jew is charged to bring a little bit of Seder into their lives. We need that koach, we need that capacity more than ever. Today's Daf Yomi, Sanhedrin Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, shares a story about David HaMelech who petitions to God. Says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's a certain parsha in his life, a certain story in his life that he doesn't want preserved for perpetuity. Maybe it could be deleted from the Tanakh, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu argued that not one detail could be erased, though David HaMelech could be fully absolved. And then the Gemara shares the reason why the Ribbono Shel Olam says we cannot erase a single detail. And listen very carefully. Ma yud shenatalti misarai omed v'tzavach kama shanim at sheba Yehoshua v'osafti lo. When God took the letter Yud out of the name Sarai and changed the name to Sarah, and that Yud was devastated, was forlorn. The Yud said, I used to be part of the name of Sarah Imenu, and now I'm not. And the Yud argued before the Ribbono Shel Olam said, where am I going to be now? What about my connection to this tzadekes? Kadosh Baruch Hu went and put the Yud in the letter, in the name of Hoshea ben Nun, Vayikra Moshe li Hoshea ben Nun Yehoshua. Kadosh Baruch Hu changed the name of Hoshea, took the letter Yud from Sarai, and put it in the name of Yehoshua. The letter Yud was once connected to the holy matriarch, Sarah Imenu. When it was torn away, it yearned to be connected to that holiness again, to Sarah, our Sarah's namesake. So too, us. Sarah, we are all bereft. We wish we had your strength, your clarity, your modesty, your foresight, your attention to detail, your wisdom, your emunah b'Hashem, and your love that you show for your children and for everyone. We are that Yud, we are that Yid, and we once had that kesher to you, and we fear, and we're frightened of the possibility that now we are separated in this physical world from you. Well, we won't stop crying. We won't stop from that savach, from that crying out to Hashem, to the Ribbono Shel Olam, until the day when we could be connected to you once again. Bila maves lenetzach amacha Hashem tima me'al kol panim. Avi.
It's because of this being during the month of Nisan, I cannot give the full hesped, the full amount of things that I need that someone like my mother deserves to be said, and I cannot give the message fully. But what I can do is draw from her a place where we can be inspired to become greater than what we are and to do more than what we are doing. And to look at my mother and to draw inspiration from her was not something that was difficult at all. There was a lot of hard things that happened, a lot of hard choices, and a lot of hard things that have happened in the last few months. Thinking of ideas for this was not one of them. The moment you open up a pen and paper and start writing things down, you will not stop writing things down, because they're just the endless things that just sources of inspiration, places of strength I could draw from, and everyone who knows her, everyone who knew her can draw from. And it's something that is just so special. And just if she was everything, she was the opposite of everything that was wrong with this world. The reason that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed was because of sinas chenam. People doing things purely for the sake of hate, where it no longer stands to gain. She was the exact opposite. The kindness she did for people was not kindness where she expected anything in return. In fact, when was offered things in return, was very reluctant, if not utterly refusing to take anything back in return, because that was just who she was as a person, was somebody who truly lived their life outside of their own little box. We all walk around our whole lives, even the good things we do, sometimes it's influenced by, I'm going to give tzedakah, and I'm going to get a big plaque on the wall. Or I'm going to help my friend, because I know in 20 years from now, when I'm stuck, he's going to help me back. And these are all things that we do, and these are all actions that we do. but not with her. With her, every action she did and every moment she lived her life was not for her own. Every ounce of strength she had in her body was given to the community. She used to joke to us when we used to ask her things when we were little, and she used to tell us that she's not an octopus. But I'm fairly certain that isn't true, because I have never in my life met somebody who could juggle the amount of programs she was running and the amount of things she was doing, while all at the same time still having time to drive me to baseball practice and to drive my sister to gymnastics and to read us stories and to help us with all our things. And it still is mind-boggling how a person can do all of that. And the only way a person can do that is if somebody truly lives their life outside of the own little box, which is themselves. And if a person lives their life truly for other people, suddenly you can fix everything. And she was this person with this kayach, that if we can emulate this kayach that she had, and one of the big things, this is something I was talking about what I was going to talk about with my siblings, and just the myriad of things that I could say. One of the things that really blew her mind was really just the level of Mesiras Nefesh, the way she gave every little aspect of herself. There was never a moment where she was relaxing. If she had time off, she was going to go take us into someplace fun. Or she had a little time off, she's going to go and call those 3 parents to try and get their kids the proper help they need. Or if she has time off, she's going to sit there and create some brand new program for her preschool. And just living everything, if you can truly just emulate the way that she lived her life and and if we could find a way to live our lives and to give ourselves over to other people and to live for other people and just achieve a semblance of the level of Avas Chinam that she gave to every single person every single time they interacted with them. Be it she bumps into you in the store, she's going to give all of herself she has. And if she walks down the street or you called her to ask her something, she gave every little ounce she had. And even when she was sick, every single ounce of strength, the amount of things that we would have to do, like to hide things from her, because otherwise we knew if she found out about them, she's going to give everything she has and more than she has, because she truly was someone who every ounce of being in her body was, how can I help everyone else in this world? And if we can draw just inspiration from that aspect, everyone's going to get up here, and for now, and all the other speakers, and we can go on. I can go on for days without end, just talking about some of the amazing qualities and just telling stories. And there's stories, and even still, I hear more stories, and something will come up, and something will going on, and a person will come out and say, "I'd love to help you guys with something," and we have no clue who this person is. But one time, on an offhand, someone happened to be walking past and mentioned something, and she said something to them, and saved a child, and saved lives. And this little action she did, and every single interaction she had, and the way she gave herself into changing every single person and every single interaction we had, if we can find in ourselves just to reflect on that and just to try and match that level of living outside of ourselves and level of living for somebody else, and level of living not about how this is going to help me, but how this is going to make the world a better place. Bezras Hashem, we can all be together soon in Yerushalayim and with the Beis Hamikdash, and we will have no more sadness and only joy, and we can all live for each other, not just out of having to work for it, but because we're all pieced together with us and Hashem and the Beis Hamikdash.
Thank you. When thinking about my sister, I kept reflecting about all the kindness and generosity, but the thing that kept coming to mind is the thoughtfulness. There are just countless of examples out there of her hearing about a problem and really wanting to understand everyone involved, wanting to understand what the problem was, wanting to see how she could make a difference for that person. Whether that be children she worked with, understanding the family and how she could help them, understanding how the school policy worked or fire code or whatever it was that she could do. She would try to find a way to change lives. And she just had this spirit of life and resilience that she just wanted to keep giving constantly, giving every day, giving of herself. And you saw that in examples of, handing out things for Rosh Hashanah, whether it's for Purim or flowers, just to make somebody's day better. And she would incorporate her children in those mitzvahs as well, whether they were delivering things or making platters. And I will always look up to her. I look up to her now, and I have always, and find so many ways that I want to emulate the things she does. And even when she was faced with frustrations and hardships and sickness, she was focused on what she could do in the moment, what she could better in the moment. And she had this calm presence in it, focusing on what she could do. And when things got really hard, if she couldn't do that, she would make a joke. She would make it funny so that it was something you could bear. Thank you.
Ahavas Olam, Beis Yisrael, Amecha Ahavata. A boundless love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for Klal Yisrael. Somebody might love somebody, but not have the wherewithal to share with them. Someone might have the wherewithal to share, but might not have the greatest love. Ahavas Olam, a boundless love Hashem, our Creator, has for Klal Yisrael. The wealthiest, the one of all able, has a boundless love for Klal Yisrael. Torah u'mitzvahs, chukim u'mishpatim, aisanu limadta. And Hashem gave us the greatest gift, the greatest pearls and diamonds and emeralds available. The beautiful Torah, the mitzvahs, the ability to live like a Yid. Al kein Hashem Elokeinu, b'shachveinu v'kumeinu. Therefore, Hashem, when I go to sleep and I get up in the morning, nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'devrei salmon torasecha v'mitzvaysecha l'olam va'ed. I appreciate the gift. I go to sleep thinking that I'll get up in the morning and have a day to serve you, Hashem. For that is my actual breath. It's the air that I breathe. It's the battery. It's the vitamins that I need to live. Imagine giving a little child a $30,000 diamond necklace, and the child puts it on the teddy bear, puts it on the doll, leaves it in the dollhouse, and it's Erev Pesach, and Tati is leaving to shul, and Mommy says, 1 minute, and takes the teddy bear off the bed with all the chocolate crumbs behind the ribbon and the eyes, and puts that a new teddy bear in its place. And the teddy bear is on the way and going to be burnt. 10 pieces of bread and a chocolate-covered teddy bear. And in goes the bread, the teddy bear, and the emerald and diamond necklace. Because a child can't appreciate the value of a necklace. But Sara appreciated the value of the beautiful gift that Hashem gave to Klal Yisrael, the Torah and the mitzvahs. Sara valued it and gave her life for it in easier and more difficult times. She faced great challenges from the time she began to learn Torah, but she didn't stop. If this wasn't the right school, I'll go to another school. I'll keep learning. I'll go to Eretz Yisrael. I'll grow and I'll grow. I'll polish those diamonds and make them part of my life, part of my actual fiber. And her dream is and was that it gets passed down to these precious, wonderful, beautiful children of ours. And we finish off the tefillah v'ahavasecha al tasem imenu la'olamim. And please, Hashem, don't take away that love. We know how to treat it. We know how to take care of it. It's an actual life. And we can say that we appreciate it and continue that love. La'olam va'ed, not just for me, but for my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. Mommy left you a treasure. The beauty of Torah, the life of kindness, of chesed. Ben Adam l'makam, ben Adam l'chaveroi, the mitzvahs that Hashem gave us of how to treat our friends, and the mitzvahs that Hashem gave us between ourselves and Hashem. They are all valuable. The actual part of her life, the thread that sewed it together. When a person makes a bracha, they shouldn't toss the bracha, the blessing, out of their mouth. They should think, Shehefliya chastoi, Hashem gave us with great benevolence, with great chesed, this fruit, this piece of bread. And when it's a mitzvah, we say, Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu. We recognize the great blessing that you gave us, this kedusha, the holiness, the commandments, the beautiful mitzvahs. A person shouldn't just say the bracha, tells us the Mishnah Berurah from the Sefer Hasidim. A person should think about the bracha when they say it. Sara didn't have to think by a bracha. Sara lived it their whole life. Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu. She appreciated the blessing that Hashem gave us of these beautiful mitzvahs. The life of kedusha v'tahara. Sara wore a crown of glory called tznius. She was the ultimate tsanua. The Locke family from Lakewood that was so close with her. Her entire demeanor was one of tznius. She understood what true Ahavas Yisrael meant, Ahavas Chinam. She was non-judgmental and willing to help no matter who you are or whatever background you came from. She had tremendous hakaras hatov. There are so many people to thank that gave so much of themselves to Sara. And as Avi said, she gave so much of herself to us. The Talmud, the Gemara in Tractate Shabbos quotes a pasuk from Koheles. Uzechares berecha b'mei b'churasecha ada shelo yavo yemei hara'a v'higiu shanim asher tomer ein li b'hem chayfetz. When you're young and you have the strength, recognize Hashem. The pasuk ends, v'higiu shanim. Years will come, asher tomer ein li b'hem chayfetz, I have no desire. And the Gemara tells us, what time is this that I have no desire? It's the time of Techiyas HaMesim, the time of resurrection. It's a time when our neshamas will meet our body again. No desire for that time? Understanding, because at that time there'll be no merit or demerit. There'll be no place to grow. There'll be no reward for keeping mitzvahs at that time. I'm sorry, not Chiyas Mesim, the time of Mashiach. Because at that time there'll be no Yetzer Hara in the world, there'll be no evil inclination. And there won't be place, it seems to be, for reward of a mitzvah. There's a problem. The Rambam tells us that all the prophecies about Tchias HaMesim, about the resurrection of the dead, about the time of Mashiach, all the prophecies about the time of Mashiach, it will be a time that we can grow, a time that we can reap great rewards, a time that so much could happen. And the Maharal explains that at that time, a person won't be able to change from being a rasha to a tzaddik, from being wicked to righteous. It will be very obvious. There'll be no challenge. Teshuvah means to return, to face a challenge when it's difficult, and I have a choice, and I make the right choice. Teshuvah means someone like Sarah in her life, they made choices when they were easy and they were difficult. But when Mashiach comes and it's going to be so obvious, that's not going to be called returning or tshuva. However, if a person took steps in their life while in this world, if a person made themselves greater while they're in this world, then when Mashiach comes, they'll be able to continue to grow. That growth that they took in this world will be available to them, and they'll grow and they'll grow, and they can come to shleimus, to completeness, and deserve incredible rewards. We're coming to Pesach. When a Yontif and a Shabbos bump into each other, we can't prepare from Yontif to Shabbos. We can't cook on the day of the holiday for Shabbos. But there's one exception. If I make an Erev Tafshilin, if I began preparing before Yontif, then I can continue on Yontif for Shabbos. This world is like Chol, like a weekday. The time of Mashiach is like Yontif. And Olam Haba, the world to come, we know is Shabbos. If a person prepares themselves before Yontif, if in this world we prepare ourselves, we make an Erev Tavshilin, we show Hashem that we're not starting on Yontif, on the holiday, we began before, then we can continue cooking and preparing for the time that Shabbos will come. Sara Worch, Pastor David Moshe, prepared herself in this world on Erev Yontif. She did chesed like nobody else. The kindness was boundless. Her sensitivities to others, her thoughtfulness, her concern, her nesa'oi libay, she carried in her heart the responsibilities of others. Like the Arda Chaim says, the gifts to the Mishkan, there was a an adivlev and a soy libay. What was the difference? 2 levels. A person who gave from their heart, says the Arda Chaim, that somebody who calculates their wherewithal, their strength, their time, 24 hours in a day. I need to sleep 4 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours. I need to eat for a certain amount of time. I need to take care of myself for a certain amount of time. And every second besides that is for Hashem's Torah and mitzvahs. That's an adivlev. He's given from his heart everything that he has. What's an nesa'oi libay? A person whose heart carries them. So like Avi said so beautifully, nesa'oi libay is someone who doesn't calculate. They love Hashem and the Torah so much that the heart carries them past their ability, more than it's possible. An octopus has 8 arms and somehow is doing even more, Sarah. It's not calculable because in a nesa'oi libay. What an appropriate expression to a noisei ba'al, someone who carries the yoke of another person. How many yokes, how many friends, how many relatives, how many of Klal Yisrael did Sarah carry as her responsibility to see what she could do to help another person? Sarah prepared herself before the time of Mashiach, with all the beautiful mitzvahs that she did, with the tremendous chesed, with her unswerving emunah in Hashem, her caring, her giving, her perseverance to do the right thing, and as Avi said in the name of the whole family, her strength never to do what was not correct. Her tremendous Übergegebenheit, Mesiras Nefesh, superhuman effort to be mechanech, to teach the children what it means to live a life of Torah and mitzvahs, to be kind and caring. Tzadikim b'maisehem nikra chayim. When a tzaddik leaves the world, they're called alive, because the lessons of Torah are still being taught. Their offsprings are still alive, so the person is alive. As Avi said, if we can learn from Sarah's life, if we can stop right now for a minute and think, what could I do in my life to be better like Sara Worch, Bas David Moshe? Is it something that I heard today? Is it something that I watched when I saw Sarah, or heard her on the phone, or heard about her great chesed? Is it something in my emunah? No matter what Hashem sends me, I'll say Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvosov and thank Hashem. Is it something in my emunah, in my life, that I can grow in? Is there a thoughtfulness that I can think of about another person? Is there a kindness that I can shower somebody else with? Is there a charity that I could give? Is there a carrying the yoke of a friend that I can take on a little bit more? Is there a way that I can stop judging other people and only look at their good? Sarah didn't see the bad in other people, she only saw the good. Is there something that I can do in my life like that? Then Sarah didn't leave the world, because tzadikim b'maisehem nikra chayim. A person's life continues if we continue to learn their lessons. All of my children, of course, Rebbe and Yari, although they're physically not here, you know how much they care about your family. Sarah's like a sister. You know that I feel like a brother to all of you. I have to say that I'm very proud of my children, that they set such a lesson for Sarah. But we have to learn that when we see a lesson, we don't say, that's a great lesson, and move on. We say, that's a great lesson, and I'll change my life. That's a great lesson, and tomorrow won't be like today, and today won't be like yesterday. Yizachar Baruch. May we continue to learn all the good lessons from Sara Worch, Bas David Moshe. We don't say Kel Mole today in Chodesh Nisan, so I'll say one kapitel Tehillim. Shir Alois, Esoin Ha'el Harim, Me'yayin Yavai Ezri, Ezri Mim Adonai, Oisei Shemayim V'aretz, Al Yitein Lamoid Raglecha, Al Yanum Shemirecha, Hinei Lo Yanum, V'lo Yishon Shemei Yisrael, Adonai Shemirecha, Adonai Tzilcha Yad Minecha, Yoimam Hashemesh Lo Yakecha, V'yareach B'layla, Adonai Yishmercha Mikol Ra, Yishmer Es Nafshecha, Adonai Yishmer Tzeischa Uvayecha, Me'ata V'yad Olam.
This concludes the funeral here at the chapel. The interment will take place at Ridge Lawn Cemetery. For those who will be joining the family procession, we'll be lining up in the parking lot. We ask to have your headlights and hazard lights on while in procession and drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you. The family will be sitting Shiva at the Worch residence, 3830 White Cloud Drive, Shachas every morning at 7 a.m. and Menachem Marv at 7 p.m. If we can all rise as we escort the caskets from the chapel. Once we've left the chapel, we ask everybody to go immediately to their vehicles.